Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you a little trick on how to hit your pH target every single time. And I'm not talking about getting close. I'm talking about nailing it with pinpoint accuracy. You're going to love this little tip. And it doesn't matter if you're making cheese, kombucha, sourdough bread, or in our case, fermented sausages. We're going to be using a new pH meter that I got called the Apera PH60S-Z, and I've been geeking out on the settings. This particular pH meter has an incredible amount of features, data logging, but for this video, we're going to talk about the alarm function. And today I'm going to be making Spanish chorizo, a fermented sausage. So we're going to be targeting a pH of 4.96. That's an incredibly specific target, and I chose that to show you that with the alarm feature on this pH meter, you can hit it every time. The first thing we need to do is open up the app, and this is going to be for the pH meter PH60S-Z. If you have the PH60, you could still do this. You just have to do it through the unit itself. So click on those three bars, top left-hand corner. That's the menu option, and go down to settings. Once you go down to settings, click on general, and the first thing we want to do is turn the auto off. We don't want the unit to power down. We want it to continuously run. So once you've done that, press save and go ahead and go back 2 screens, back to the settings, and click on the alarm option. Click on whichever option applies. In our case, we're going to be putting an alarm for the pH. So click the pH. Now here's where we get to set our high or low alarm. In our case, we're going to be setting the low alarm because our pH is going to be dropping. So I'm going to go ahead and input a value of 5. And what that means is that when the pH gets to 5.0, the meter is going to notify me that the alarm value has been met. At this point, all I'm going to do is toggle the on switch and then hit the save button. And that's it. Our alarm has been set. And now we're going to go ahead and put the probe inside of our sample. I'm going to go ahead and grab the salami mincemeat that we're going to test. And this has been fermenting all day long. And I'm going to do this trick about 6 hours before I think it's ready. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and stick the meter right into that sample, and immediately it's going to begin reading. This is what it's going to look like through the app. And through the app, you can set how often it takes measurements. For instance, I currently have mine set to record data every second. And the more information you have, the more you could do with it. The reason I'm waiting about 6 hours before I think this fermentation is finished is because that particular probe needs to stay hydrated. And because we're sticking it in a solid sample, it's eventually going to start to dry out, and we're going to want to soak it in the storage solution so that it can get rehydrated. And after talking to Apera Instruments, they told me that about 6 hours was the max that you want to leave it outside of hydration. And so that's what we're doing right here. So if you want to leave your probe in your test sample for 12 hours, just remember that about halfway through that process, you want to soak it for about 30 minutes or so, and then you can stick it back in your sample. Now, what we're looking at is on the smartphone, a live feed of our pH reading. Now, at this point, I'm in my living room. I can see it's 5.24. It also gives me the temperature. It's 76.6 degrees. And all of this information is being stored so that later I can look at the bar charts and the graphs and the rise or the fall of the pH as this is being tested. Now, why is that important? Well, for our practical application, salami, acidification is incredibly important, and the slightest variables can greatly alter how fast or how slow your salami acidifies. The change of temperature, the change of sugar that you add, the amount of starter culture that you add, and the more information that you have at your disposal, the better you're going to get in making high quality fermented sausages. Okay, so that's just one facet of this Apera pH meter. The other facet is truly taking away the guesswork when it comes to your pH. The time lapse of this salami fermenting is about 5.5 hours. So as soon as I hit my target, I'm going to go ahead and clean it and then put it in some storage solution so that it can begin rehydrating. Technically, I'm in the safe zone. It's 5.0. Anything under 5.3, but I wanted to show you how you can nail a specific pH. And the starter culture that I'm using is Flavor of Italy. And for Flavor of Italy, you really want to target your pH between 5.0 and 4.9, somewhere in that range. And so my target was 4.96. As soon as we hit our low alarm, which is 5.0, the meter's display is going to turn bright red, letting me know we hit our alarm value. And because I'm actually shooting for a 4.96, I can start checking the meter a little more frequently, or the app on my smartphone a little more frequently, ensuring that I nail the target goal. And as you can see, we're almost there. Nailed it. 4.96. And that's how you can hit your pH target every single time using the alarm function on the Apera PH60S-Z. If you want more information about this particular pH meter, check the description box below. Apera Instruments was kind enough to offer a discount code for those of you who are interested in buying one of these pH meters, or really any pH meter that they offer. If you're new to the channel and this is your first video, we want to say welcome. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. We've got an awesome project lined up, and it's going to trump everything that we've done up until this point. You're not going to want to miss it. You can catch the teasers on our stories. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one.